Hi guys, good evening. I am Ilangovan, online resource person for teaching zoology at CDOC. So I think so for the biodiversity with reference to, good evening sir, let's start. So far I studied something about the introductive part related to the biodiversity of vertebrates. And we have studied also the introductory part of the prochordates, the vertebrates, and also the jawless vertebrates like cyclostomes. And that part is over. Now let's pass on to the next part, animals with the jaws. Animals with the jaws. And those animals with the jaws are called actually gnathostomes. And the group is called Gnathostomata. The cyclostomes, jawless vertebrates coming under the group what is called Agnatha. Now this group includes animals with jaws. So other part of the vertebrate. Now this Gnathostomata includes mainly the fishes, the amphibians, the reptiles, birds and apes, the birds as well as the mammals. Now let's proceed further about this aspect. Now here is once again the classification. So animals with the jaws are grouped under two superclasses. Superclass 1, the pisces, and superclass 2, the tetrapods, or otherwise called as tetrapoda, the group. So normally this classification is based on the presence or absence of the nature of the locomotory structures. Now in the case of all fishes, the one with the organisms which are included under the superclass pisces, they have locomotive structures in the form of fins. Both paired and unpaired fins are formed for the locomotory process. Now here it is called tetrapoda. You know the meaning for poda, the legs, animals with 4 legs for locomotion. That is why the group is called actually tetrapoda, animals with the limbs. That too they have 4 just limbs for locomotion. That is why the name is given tetrapoda. Now let's start with the superclass fishes. Now this one includes both cartilaginous fishes as well as the bony fishes. Even also we have for example the extinct fishes. So we have actually the superclass fishes includes mainly the cartilaginous fishes, the bony fishes of both marine water as well as fresh water, and also the extinct forms. For example, placodermi, one category, class placodermi. You have 3 classes under this category. Class number 1, placodermi, and that is normally extinct fishes, that is why I didn't mention that one. The second group, the class 1, chondrichthyes, animals with cartilaginous endoskeleton. So ichthyes, ichthyology, the word refers to the study of fishes, and chondrin, chondrocytes or chondriocytes, the word referring to the cartilaginous cells. So the word chondri or chondrio or chondriology, the study of cartilage bones, and that is why the animal group is also called as chondrichthyes, as they have cartilaginous endoskeleton. Now the group osteichthyes, they include osteon, the unit of bone, osteology, the study of actually bone. So chondriology, the study of cartilage, osteology, the study of bones. We will study later about these aspects and tissues. So animals are the fishes with bones as their endoskeleton or grouped under osteichthyes. That is why we have osteichthyes, the name. So ichthyology, the study of fishes. This is about what we have with reference to the superclass. One with cartilaginous fishes, another group we have the bony fishes. That is what we have the internal endoskeleton being formed of the bones. So that means what is called completely ossified. We can see ossification occurs in the case of osteichthyes. We are using the word ossification, the meaning for that one, calcium being deposited. For example, if you take your earlobe, it is formed of cartilage. It is highly flexible. There is no ossification. The meaning for that one, there is no mineralization. There is no deposition of calcium. But in the case of radius and ulna in the forearm region, we have the bones. The bones are hard enough. This is because of the deposition of calcium or mineralization, and that phenomenon is called ossification. A rigid bone is formed because of the ossification process, but there is no ossification in the case of cartilage. You will see other tissues. Now the superclass tetrapoda normally divided into 4 classes. Class 1, amphibia. Class 2, reptilia. Class 3, apes, and class 4, mammalian. We'll see one by one just what is the nature of each group, how far they are actually originated, during which period, what are their characteristic features, in what way they are related to each other, how far actually they originated from the preceding groups. Now superclass 1. So these are all the animals actually having the fins for locomotion. As a general rule, if you are taking for example the fishes, the frogs, then the reptilian forms including the snakes and that is the lizards, turtles, tortoises. Now all these animal groups up to reptilia starting from fishes are cold-blooded animals. So normally they are called as conformers. That means they have no ability of regulating their body temperature, unlike the birds and the mammals including man. So we are called the regulators because we have the capacity to regulate the body temperature, maintaining a constant body temperature. But the animals like fishes, the frogs, the lizards, the snakes, the turtles and tortoises, they cannot have the ability of actually just maintaining a constant body temperature. Hence they are normally called as conformers. Just unlike the regulators. The birds and human beings, for example, the mammals are regulators as we have the capacity of maintaining a constant body temperature. Now these animals are cold-blooded. The meaning for that one, they do not have a constant body temperature. They can adjust the temperature according to the temperature of the surrounding. If the animal body's temperature, for example, if you have 40 degrees Celsius in sun, suppose if our outside temperature is only 38 degrees Celsius, immediately what will happen, the animal can change its body temperature from 40 to 38. So the temperature of the body is in relation to or in corresponding to the temperature of the surrounding. Such animals are called cold-blooded. They are also called poikilothermous animals. And also we are using another word, ectothermic animals. Ectothermic animals. So these are all the three categories, actually all together one: cold-blooded, poikilothermous, ectothermous or conformous, unable to just actually adjust the regulate their body temperature or unable to maintain their constant body temperature. So normally as an adaptation, just actually in the case of all fishes, you know that one, the body is streamlined, just like a boat, to just offer little resistance while the animal is passing through or piercing through the water. They have streamlined body. Now one of the characteristics in the case of fishes as well as in the case of frog, they do not have neck. They do not have neck. Head, trunk and tail only. Even in the case of frog, you have head and trunk only. There is no neck. Then, about the exoskeleton. So normally a peculiar exoskeleton you have, you see that one either in the case of lizards or in the case of that is fishes. Suppose how can you differentiate, for example, a frog from that of a lizard? So in the case of frog, you know that one, there is no covering. There are no external exoskeleton. But in the case of lizards, you have external exoskeleton being present, made up of scales. So once again I am coming back to this one. The exoskeleton is in the form of scales. The form of scales. Now also in the case of lizard, we have the scales. Snakes also they have the scales. Then what is the difference between the scales of fishes and the scales of that is lizards or snakes? Now in the case of fishes, the scales are dermal in origin. Dermal in origin. That is derived from mesoderm. Derived from mesoderm. So you see that one in the skin we have, you know that one two distinct regions. One is epidermis, another one is dermis. Upper epidermis and lower dermis. Now the epidermis is developed from the ectoderm, and whereas the dermis is developed from the mesoderm. So in the case of fishes, the scales are dermal in origin, derived from mesoderm. But in the case of lizards and snakes or any other just reptilian forms, we have the scales. The scales are epidermal in origin. Epidermal scales, they are called epidermal. And such epidermis is derived from mainly ectoderm. The epidermis is derived from ectoderm. So this is another difference. The main difference between these two, dermal derived from mesoderm. Here epidermal derived from the ectoderm. So in the case of fishes, you know that when the scales are actually wet in nature because of the slimy secretion secreted by the skin glands. But in the case of, you see that one reptiles, there are no glands formed on the surface of the skin to make the skin moist. So the skin is dry. So skin is dry, here skin is wet and moist in nature, slimy in nature. And again the nature of the origin of the scales, dermal, and this one is epidermal. Just I want to compare this one here itself instead of comparing their reptilian forms. Don't forget the statement about the scales origin. Then also we have in some cases a bony ornament called as denticles. Denticles or bony plates. Denticles or bony plates. So you have trunk fish or any other fishes, the scales are replaced by some bony structures, bony plates, and they are called as the denticles. So I mentioned earlier, all being developed from the mesoderm. But the scales of snakes or the reptilian forms, they have originated from ectoderm. As a locomotive structure, as we have seen already in the case of superclass fishes, all have the fins as locomotive structures. And now actually paired and then unpaired fins are formed. So in this manner normally, see I mentioned we have already studied the cyclostomes, the petromyzon, lampreys are mixing. So I mentioned there is one difference, though they are looking like fishes, they are not true fishes because of the absence of two characters. One, the presence of paired fins, and number two, the presence of scales. These are the two characteristics of fishes. So fishes have paired fins as well as the scales all over the body. But in the case of cyclostomes, what I studied earlier, they do not have paired fins, they have only unpaired fins and no scales. That is why they are not considered as fishes, though they are looking like fishes. Then, the next one about the nostrils. The nostrils normally never open into the pharynx. We have external nostrils concerned with the smell. Suppose you are taking for example reptiles and birds, human beings, we have the external nostrils. They are leading into the respiratory passage, the respiratory organs, and the first part named the pharynx. But in the case of fishes, normally you have the external nostrils that do not open into pharynx, indicating that they are not taking part in respiratory function. But what for that actually? They are concerned with the smelling. They are concerned with the smelling olfactory sense. But in the case of lungfishes, as they have lungs for respiration, as in the case of African lungfishes or in the case of Australian and American lungfishes, we'll see later. So they have lungs for respiration. That is why it is a must for the animal for having the external nostrils leading into the pharynx for this exit of gases for the transport of oxygen as well as carbon dioxide into the lungs, also away from the lungs. So in the case of lungfishes, we have external nostrils, they open into the pharynx, but in normal fishes, we have paired nostrils, they do not open into the pharynx as they have no role in respiration, but concerned with only the sense of smelling. Then, what are the organs of respiration? As a general rule, you know that in all fishes, we have the gills as organs of respiration. We have the gills as the organs of respiration. But in the case of lungs, the name itself implies that you know that one, they have the lungs. They have the lungs. So this is one peculiar character, an eccentric character found in the case of all lungfishes. They do not have gills, but they have lungs. They have the ability of surviving outside water for a long time, as they have the ability of just making use of the atmospheric air. Then, in the case of vertebrate animal, during the course of evolution, if we are taking the heart evolution occurs starting from a tubular structure. If we are taking in the case of cyclostomes as well as in the case of fishes, the heart is normally tubular. The heart is tubular. Formed of two chambers, namely one auricle and one ventricle, a tubular heart. In the case of cyclostomes as well as in the case of fishes, the heart is two chamber having one auricle and one ventricle. Then, but the heart as well as the circulation of fishes, circulation actually the circulatory system in the case of fishes different from that of any other amphibians or reptilian forms or apes or mammalian forms. In what way? Now here there is a peculiar character. We have three definitions related to the heart. The heart is described as number one, branchial heart. The word branchial refers to just gills. Suppose for example, if you are taking actually the heart, so normally the impure blood is transported to the heart from the body. So from the body, that is normally this is impure blood that is being transported to the heart. Impure blood. Impure blood is transported to the heart. And for getting purified, so impure blood is nothing that you know that one, the deoxygenated blood, the one which contains more amount of carbon dioxide and less amount of oxygen. Now from the heart it has been transported to the respiratory organs. In our case it is being transported to the lungs for purification. Here in the case of fishes, we have the gills as the respiratory organs. Now from the body, the impure blood is transported to the heart and then to the gills. Here also the impure blood. Then in our case what will happen after purification occurs? The oxygenated blood or the pure blood is transported to the heart and from there only it is being transported to the body. But in the case of fishes, after purification gets over, the blood never returns to the heart. It directly just transported to the body. See that one? The blood flows from the heart to the gills and not to the body. But in our case, the blood is transported to the lungs as well as to other parts of the body. But here the blood is transported from the heart to the gills one. And directly after purification from the gills, the blood is transported to the body. Such a heart, where the blood flows from the heart to the gills, is called as a branchial heart. The word branchial refers to the gills. So the branchial refers to the gills. That is why it's called as what is called actually the branchial heart. Then the second one, it is also called as venous heart. The same one. So what do you mean by venous heart? See, actually here it is impure blood transport to the heart. But never the pure blood reaches the heart. The heart contains only the impure blood. The heart contains only impure blood. And the heart is filled only with the impure blood. There is no actually supply or transport of pure blood towards the heart. The heart receives only impure blood. It is being filled with only impure blood. Such a heart where only actually contains, where you have only the impure blood alone present, is called as the venous heart, unlike the arterial heart. So our heart is a mixture of arterial and venous heart because we receive both impure as well as what is called the pure blood. But in the case of this heart, it receives only the impure blood, it never receives the pure blood. Then, it's also called single circulation. It's also called single circulation, unlike the double circulation. So what is the meaning for that actually the single circulation? The same one. Now, so here the blood from the body reaches the heart. From the heart the blood reaches the gills. From the gills now the blood never returns to the heart, it is directly transported to the body. Such a circulation is called single circulation, unlike the double circulation. Now what is the meaning of double circulation? Suppose for example from the body, let us take human being. So from the body, the pure blood is transported. The pure blood is transported towards the heart. Sorry, I made a mistake. Impure blood. The impure blood is transported to the heart. And from the heart it is being transported to the lungs for purification. Lungs for purification. So once again there is impure blood. Now from the lungs, actually the blood is returned to the heart. This is what is called the pure blood. So body, heart to lungs. From the lungs once again the blood is returning back to the heart, and from the heart the blood is transported to the body. Now this is once again pure blood. See, this is one circulation. Body to heart, this is one circulation. Then just a heart to lungs, another circulation. But in the case of fishes we have only one circulation. There is no such a double circulation. So in the case of reptiles, or in the case of, for example, actually excepting the fishes, In the case of frog, there also we have some sort of just mixed up blood is flowing. So anyway, we take the reptiles, the birds and mammals. There you have a double circulation, meaning for that one, from the body the impure blood is transported to the heart, from where it is being transported to the lungs for purification. After purification, the blood is returning to the heart, and from the heart the blood is actually pumped to different parts of the body. So body to heart one circulation, heart to lungs another circulation. This type of circulation is called what is known as double circulation. But in the case of fishes, only one circulation. Body to heart, heart to gills. From the gills it returns to the body directly, never returning to the heart. So such a circulation is called what is known as a single circulation or single circuit circulation is also called. So I mentioned what do you mean by single circulation. Now let's talk about something evolutionary part of fishes, a few words. So if you are taking actually the geological time scale, you know that one we have Paleozoic era, Azoic era, Proterozoic, etc. Paleozoic, Mesozoic, Cenozoic eras. These are all the various eras according to the geological time scale. If you are taking the Paleozoic era, it is considered as a cradle for ancient life. Most of the ancient animals were surviving during this major period, what is called the Paleozoic era. And this one includes 7 normal periods. So Ordovician, Silurian, Cambrian, Devonian, the 4th period. Now this Devonian period is actually characterized by large number of fishes. Fishes were flourishing. They lived in large numbers. Large number of fishes were present during the Devonian period. And that is why that period of Paleozoic era is considered as the age of fishes. Age of fishes. Then after we have, for example, Mississippian, Pennsylvanian, just Permian. So during the Permian period, the last period of Paleozoic era, most of the animals were extinct. They became extinct. So nearly 2/3 of the animals which survived in this earth were extinct during that period. So during that period, a large number of fishes were also they became extinct. Permian period. But there's actually the life that was flourishing during the Devonian period, and that one is considered as the age of fishes. Some evolution, when did they normally originate, when did they actually disappear during during Permian period, they actually disappear, most of the fishes, not all. So the present modern fishes we have, but some of the fishes which lived in the past, they actually just become extinct. And only few things are surviving till today, they are considered as a living fossils later on. Now, what is the nature of the excretory organs? I started already. We can have 3 different types of kidneys. Generally speaking, pronephridia or protonephridia, or mesonephric kidney and metanephric kidney. So this is based on the place where they have been developed. During the embryonic development in some animals, the kidneys were developed at the anterior part of the body. Then the mesonephric kidneys they develop in the middle part of the body. In a case, you know that the kidneys are localized at the posterior end. In the case of reptiles, birds and mammals, they originated or formed at the posterior end of the body in the abdominal cavity. That is why they are called metanephric. And this one it is found in the middle part of the body, in the embryonic body. That is why it is called mesonephric kidney. And we don't have any living member at present having the primitive kidneys like protonephric. But in the case of one cyclostome, I already mentioned, just a mixing, we have archinephric kidney. The ancestral kidney at present form only in the case of mixing a cyclostome. So anyway, in the case of fishes, we have mesonephric. In the case of frog, also mesonephric. Reptiles, birds and mammals, they have metanephric kidneys. This classification is based on the place of development in the body during embryogeny. So either found at the anterior or in the middle part of the body or at the posterior part of the body. Now what are the excretory products? So normally all aquatic animals eliminate ammonia as a waste product. The reason for that one, ammonia is highly toxic. If it is eliminated by the terrestrial animals in the atmosphere, it is highly toxic, causes damage to the living being. But in the case of aquatic animals, the animals eliminate ammonia. The reason for that one, ammonia is highly soluble in water. That is why normally the aquatic animals eliminate ammonia as the waste product. And such animals are called ammonotelic animals. Ammonotelic animals which excrete ammonia are called ammonotelic. Urea excreting animals are called ureotelic. And also, just in the case of uric acid eliminating animals are called uricotelic. Now here the major base products are ammonia. But in the case of marine cartilaginous fishes, all cartilaginous fishes are marine in nature. No cartilaginous fishes found in fresh water. Urea is a waste product. Urea is a waste product. Ammonia in all fishes. But there are specifications in the case of cartilaginous fishes, for example, the ray fish or skate, or in the case of just what is called starfish, or in the case of, for example, shark. In all cases, we have urea as the waste product. Once again, in the case of marine teleost. So when you are using the word teleost, this is one group of fishes, teleostii. One order, suborder teleostii, which includes bony fishes. And just actually marine teleost, the word referring to the bony fishes. Now in the case of bony fishes, we have one peculiar waste product, what is called trimethylamine oxide, TMO, simply called. What is the reason for that one? Now these bony fishes are living in marine water. The marine water is highly concentrated with the salt. Highly concentrated with the salt. That is why it is in hypertonic condition. But here in this animal, it is somewhat actually lesser in concentration in its contents in the blood when compared to the outside medium. That means the blood is hypotonic in the case of marine teleost. And in the surrounding medium, we have hypertonic condition, increased concentration outside and less concentration inside. So, what will happen? The animal is normally losing water. So, water is always moving from, you know that one, lower concentrated solution to higher concentrated solution. The animal is losing water. In order to maintain the water content of the body, what is called the osmotic concentration of the blood, the animal is normally producing this trimethylamine oxide. And so that the concentration of the blood is increasing. Now, the concentration of the blood is equal to the concentration of the outside medium. So, both are in isotonic condition. Both are in isotonic condition. So, there is no loss of water, there is no movement of water on either side. So to maintain osmotic concentration only, the marine teleost fishes, they have trimethylamine oxide as a waste product. Then, how many pairs of cranial nerves we have? So generally speaking, for example, in the case of cyclostomes fishes and also in the case of frogs, they have 10 pairs of cranial nerves. If you are taking the reptiles, birds and mammals, they have 12 pairs. So there is a main difference, and those nerves arising from the brain are called as the cranial nerves. So in fishes, in the case of cyclostomes and also in the case of frog, that is amphibians, we have 10 pairs of cranial nerves. Reptiles, birds and mammals, they have 12 pairs. But in the case of snake, also only 10 pairs. We will see later. Now, in the case of aquatic animals, even if you are taking the tadpole, larva, frog, they have a peculiar sensory structure. And what is called the lateral line sense organs are neuromast organs. Suppose you are taking any fish. So, on the lateral sides of the body there is a groove, and this groove contains large number of sensory cells, and as it is found laterally in the form of a long line, and this is called lateral line sense organ or neuromast organs. They are considered as the rheoreceptors. So normally the water current, rheo means you know that one here, just able to detect any change in the water, particularly the water current. So normally these are all rheoreceptors. They have the ability of maintaining the balance as well as actually to know about what is the nature of the pressure. You know, some fishes can live only on the surface waters, someone just at the middle level, and someone at the bottom. They are called the benthas. Or the benthas are benthic animals. So how can they know? Just so they can live only in a particular pressure. Suppose an animal or a fish living on the surface of water, if it goes down, where the pressure is higher, you know, when depth increases, the pressure is also increasing. And such a high pressure actually the animal's body cannot tolerate. And further, for knowing the pressure, what is there in a particular area suitable for the animal, it is being detected with the help of lateral line sense organs. So, lateral line sense organs are found mainly in the case of aquatic animals, particularly in the case of fishes. We can have this one also in the case of tadpole, larva, or frog, because it is also aquatic. So it is used for normally maintaining the balance and detecting the pressure changes in water. Then the skull is monocondylic. What's the meaning for that one? Suppose you are taking human being. So our skull is placed, you know that one on the axis, the second vertebra. By means of two projections, if you are taking a skull and drawing a similar diagram, these are all the projections called as the condyle, some nodule-like structure. Some nodule-like structure called as a condyle for articulation. So in the case of frog and in the case of mammals, that means in the case of amphibians and in the case of mammals, there are two condyles like this for articulation. That's why we can just move the head here and there. They are being placed on some cavities like this, providing movement to and from motion. So this is the case in the case of mammals as well as in the case of amphibians. But if you are taking fishes, then you have the reptilian forms, and also in the case of birds, if you are taking the skull, they have only one just projection like this. Such a condition is called monocondylic condition. That is available, that is seen in the case of fishes, birds and reptiles. And dicondylic condition is seen in the case of human beings, that means actually the mammals, and also the frogs, that means nothing but the amphibians. Remember that one. So, and the suture is nothing but actually you know that one you have studied. The skull bones, the cranial bones, you know that one, they are irregular. And yes, actually in the case of the skull we have normally just some sutures, they are nothing but the joints, immovable joints, the zigzag lines found between the bones of the skull and the cranium for just making the bones tied together, and that's a kind of immovable joint. That's a kind of immovable joint. That is seen in the case of, you see that one human body. So the zigzag lines nothing but actually used for interdigitation of the bones, locking mechanism. And that one represents what is called actually the sutures. So in the case of fishes, about this whether they have well developed or not, they are just simply developed but not as much. You can break the bone, you know that one in the case of either bony or so in all cases they have the bones. Now all these bones are joined either only by means of certain joints, and such immovable joints all present in the case of all animals, starting from fishes up to human beings. But the nature is not actually whether it is well developed or not, that is a question. Developed but not up to the level. You can say like that. Okay, now let's proceed further. So the skull is monocondylic. Then about the next one, the nature of the amphicycles, so the nature of the vertebra. You know that one, the vertebral column is being formed of a number of small pieces of bones. And suppose I am taking, you know that one, if you take, this is a simple structure, so just showing what is called the vertebra. And this is what we can say the solid centrum. Solid centrum. So what you are observing at the back, small nodule-like structure, nothing but the centrum, the body of what is called the vertebra. And now based on the shape of the vertebra, based on the presence of cavity, we can say either it is that is what is called a procellus or acellus or heterocellus or amphicoelus like this. Here the cellus refers to a cavity. Now I am taking a simple diagram of a centrum. Now this is a centrum I am taking. So this is anterior side and posterior side. If both the sides are actually not having any cavity, this is called acellus type. For example, in the case of human being, we don't have any cavities either anterior or posterior. Suppose for example, I am taking concavity. On both the sides, we see concavity on both the sides. In the centrum of vertebra, then it's called amphicoelus type. And if it is acellus, this is the acellus, or also called amphiplateon. This is what we can say, that is amphicoelus, or we can have procellus. You have cavity only at the anterior end. There is no concavity. So based on the presence or absence of concavity, we can just classify the vertebrae into acellus or even procellus, or we can for example amphicoelus or heterocellus. So in the case of heterocellus condition, we have concavity here, and concavity in the lateral sides also somewhat different, as in the case of birds we have heterocellus. So anyway, normally here in the case of this group, the vertebra is amphicoelus type. That means the centrum having concavity on both the sides. Now, under the superclass, actually the pieces, we have class number 1, chondrichthyes, cartilaginous fishes. So no exceptions here, all are exclusively marine. So no cartilaginous fishes available in so human vertebrate belongs to acylous type. Human vertebrate belongs to acylous type. That is, this is acylous. Acylous. In the centrum, no cavity on either side. That is why it's called as acylous. Human vertebrate belongs to, actual vertebrate belong to just actually acylous type. Now, so all are exclusively marine. No one normally found in fresh water. Then if you are taking endoskeleton, that is why the name is given chondrichthyes, also called as a cartilaginous fishes, as actually the skeleton being formed of mainly cartilage. That is why the group is called chondrichthyes, cartilaginous fishes. So notochord is persistent throughout life. It is breakable, as it is actually the evolved one, just a slight evolved from the cyclostomes. And here also we have some of the notochord is persistent, along with just the backbone is poorly developed, the vertebral cord. Now, if you want to differentiate, actually I mentioned the difference between the scales of fishes and that of the scales of that is a lizard. There it is epidermal and dry. In the case of generally fishes, it is dermal, normally mesodermal in origin. Now, the skin is normally tough and rough. Normally. And it is being formed of one type of scales, what is called placoid scales. We don't have such scales in the case of bony fishes. In the case of bony fishes, we don't have such scales. The skin is tough, containing a minute placoid scales. So once again I want to tell you biology, just actually the type of vertebrate in human being, acylous type. In human being, the type of vertebrate, acylous type. No cavity. Okay, right. So the skin is tough, containing a minute placoid scale. Even in the case of shark you can find out, and such scales are absent in the case of that is the bony fishes. Very peculiar one, very important also in terms of question. Now in the case of normally fishes, even you can find shark, you know the predaceous animal having many sharp teeth. The teeth are normally uniform in size, more or less uniform, unlike human teeth. We have different types of teeth. Some teeth are, you know, that one just cutting, some teeth are for just actually cheering, some are for grinding. And but in the case actually the teeth are very sharp, uniform in size, and such a type of teeth is called homodomor. The teeth, if the teeth are all similar in size, you may have noticed in the case of shark, you may have noticed this one in the case of shark, if all teeth are similar in size and shape, then it is called homodomor. So in the case of shark and in the case of cartilaginous fishes, and such uniform teeth in size have developed from the placoid scales. So the teeth are modified placoid scales in the case of that is shark or scale, or in case of prey fishes. Then another difference between just the chondrichthyes, we will compare later once again. Chondrichthyes, there is a bony fishes and cartilaginous fishes. See, in the case of these fishes, if you observe the shark. So in the case of shark, you could see some small openings on the lateral side like this. There are 5 openings. There are 5 openings. These openings are nothing but the gill slits, a characteristic feature of chondrichthyes. So they are called also the gill clefts, and they are separate from one another. You see that 1, 2, 3, 4, and these are all nothing but the openings, not the gills. The openings, what are called the gill slits or gill clefts, and they are separate from one another, and there is no gill cover or operculum. But in the case of bony fishes, you can see there is a gill chamber. All the gills are placed there only, and there is only one opening that is being closed or opened by means of gill cover, what is called operculum. So operculum is absent in the case of shark or in the case of cartilaginous fishes, but bony fishes they have. Then about the caudal fin. Here is also another difference. If you are taking the caudal fin, I use the word heterocercal. So hetero means, you know, that one different. Suppose you are taking the shark and just taking the tail only, you might have seen that one. See that one, there are just actually, these are all the tail fin. So the tail fin is actually in all cases of fishes two lobes. This is the upper lobe and this is the lower lobe, or this is the dorsal lobe and this is the ventral lobe. There are two lobes in a fin. In the case of any fishes, for example bony fishes, if you are taking that one, it's being formed of equal sized lobes, and that is called homocercal. In bony fishes, the caudal finish is formed of two lobes which are of equal in size. But in the case of this heterocercal, as in the case of shark or in the case of this cartilaginous fishes, there are two lobes. Normally the dorsal lobe is larger than the smaller, larger than what is called the lowermost one. The lowermost one is normally small. So two unequal lobes are present. Such a condition is called heterocercal condition. Unlike the homocercal in the case of bony fishes. And once again, here a peculiar condition. The mouth is located ventrally. There it is terminal or subterminal in most vertebrates, or in most actually the fishes of bony type, and they have normally the terminal mouth, but in the case of shark you have seen in the diagram also, that is, it is located ventrally. And another important character for offering buoyancy, the floating effect to the bony fishes, the presence of air bladder. It is the one normally which provides buoyancy, the floating effect for the fishes. That's why they can float, they can swim easily. But in the case of cartilaginous fishes, it is absent, no bladder. That is why normally you know that the shark is very vigorous in its activity, or any cartilaginous fishes, either ray or skate or the shark. They are always normally just actually swimming and going on actually swimming. That's why they are swimming constantly in order to keep up, in order to prevent them being actually sunken into water. So they prevent just to avoid sinking, and they are undergoing the rapid movement. This is because of the structure which offers buoyancy, the floating effect to the animal, for example the bony fishes. As a general rule, all vertebrates there is no hermaphrodite condition. Starting from cyclostomes up to human beings, there is no hermaphroditism, there is no monoecious condition. So you have just unisexual condition, only sexes are separate. But another peculiar difference between the bony fishes, here there is an intramittent organ. The meaning for intramittent organ, a copulative organ is present for transferring the sperm, and such copulative structures are normally found between the pelvic fins. Even in the case of shark, you will see a pair of claspers formed for transferring the sperm from the body of male into the body of female, and that is what is known as the claspers. So normally the fishes are oviparous. Some are oviparous, some of them are viviparous. But in the case of chondrichthyes, the fishes are normally viviparous. So you have three conditions: oviparous condition, nothing but egg layers. Then oviparous condition, in which normally the eggs are actually released from the body. By the time already the embryonic development has been completed, as soon as the eggs released from the body, hatches and releasing the young ones. That is called oviparous condition. In the case of, for example, platy or any other aquarium fishes, you could see this one. But in the case of shark, it gives birth young one because of the viviparity. That means that is why if you have fertilization internal, then only you can have the possibility of this viviparous condition. If the fertilization is external, then you can have only one phenomenon, namely the oviparous condition. So the viviparity is possible only when fertilization is internal, only when the embryo is developing inside the body. So shark is viviparous. It just normally holds, the female holds the young one to complete its development, and by birth only it is released from the body. Then I mentioned already, so the animals are predaceous. You know that one, we have smelling power. But the smelling power cannot be comparable to the smelling power of shark. For smelling, we have certain cells found in the nose, what we call this one in the nasal cavity, olfactory epithelium. The sense of smell, olfactory epithelium. So we have nearly 250 million olfactory cells. But a dog can smell better than man. For example, it contains nearly 250 million olfactory epithelial cells. That is why we are using dog as a sniffer dog in crime cases. But even when compared to dog, there is another animal, land animal, which can smell better than a dog. For example, the wolf. It contains nearly about 450 million olfactory cells. So, when compared to dog, a wolf can smell better than dog. But in the aquatic animals, if you are taking shark, it contains nearly about 1000 million olfactory epithelial cells. That is why it is having such a smelling power. Even if you are placing a piece of meat 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers away, the animal is approaching, you know that one fast. This is because of its high smelling power. So, the animals are predaceous, you know that one, the predator, nature of the shark. Then, actually, I mentioned already the tail has a heterocephalous cordovan, the same one. Then there is one question regarding the economic nature of the shark, the economic nature of fishes. You know that when fishes are having high concentration of omega-3 fatty acid for memory, etc. Now, what do you mean by shark green? This is one question. What do you mean by shark green? So, the skin of shark that is being dried and used as an abrasive. So, it is having a rough surface because of the presence of what is called the placoid scales. Just like an emery paper for just cleaning. So, abrasive means the one which is used for making some actually used for cleaning the surface. The rough surface into smooth one, as in the case of emery paper, the one which contains usually that one disposed sand particles on its surface for just floor cleaning or there is wood cleaning, etc. As the carpenter is using, you know that one, or the painter is using. So here the shark green is nothing but the skin of shark. As it has rough surface, it is being used as an abrasive. That is about actually the nature of the shark green. Now, let's proceed. Some of the examples. Torpedo, an electric train. It has electric organs. It has the ability of generating electricity. One cannot tolerate such a huge actually that is what is called the maximum velocity of what is called electric current can be generated by this torpedo, a ray fish. That is why it is called as electric ray. It is nothing but modified muscle. Such a muscle has the ability of actually generating electricity. Another one just what is called the stingray, and that one possesses a poison sting. A long, you see in the past, you know that one a Chinese method. And now in the case of this long, actually the tail region, we have spines. And in the past they used this method for just getting the information from the thief or from the crime persons, from the prisoners. And that one is highly poison also. They are using that one as a whip, and as it possesses for example poison sting, highly just poisonous, making one just to feel very dangerous. Scoliodon, this is a common dogfish, common shark. Scoliodon, dogfish, nothing but a shark. Now, Prestis, a sawfish having a saw-like structure. The nose is projected, a long saw-like structure. On either side, some saw-like plates are present. And then Carcharodon. So, what is given is nothing but a great white shark. So, it is white in color. Even you can count the number of, you see that one gill clubs. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can count it very easily, they are visible. And another characteristic feature I mentioned normally, the mouth is ventral. In the case of normally the chondrichthyes or cartilaginous fishes, we have 5 pairs of gill slits and also mouth is localized ventrally. Now this Carcharodon is nothing but the white shark, a great white shark, what is given. And some other pictures about this, the electric ray. Now this is the electric ray. On its ventral side only it is actually having the muscles, the electric organ is situated, able to generate electricity. And this one is a skate. Its skate actually flat in the body, very flat in the body, and that is called as a Raja skate. That is the technical word, the binomial of that one, the generic name of that one skate is called Raja. So these are all some of the shark, rays, and then skates. These are the 3 examples for chondrichthyes or the cartilaginous fishes. Now this is a sawfish. You see that one having a long sun, just like the sun, and that is there. You see that one restis. It is called as a restis, having a long sun, and that is why it is called as a sawfish. Now here is a comparison between, because we are going to talk about the bony fishes the next one. And before that, just we have to go through the comparison between what is called the cartilaginous fishes and the bony fishes. If we are taking the habitat, I mentioned already, the bony fishes are both marine and freshwater, and whereas the chondrichthyes, the cartilaginous fishes, found only in marine water, exclusively marine. Then the nature of the endoskeleton, as the name implies here, cartilage, and it is a bony structure completely ossified. Now the types of scales, only one type, and they have different types of scales, either cycloid or ctenoid or ganoid scales, three types of scales. We have seen already in the case of shark, the mouth is ventral, but here it is terminal. You can see later in the case of cuttle or any other type of fishes. Then gill slates actually no operculum, simply exposed. But in the case of this one, you have a gill cover, what is called the operculum. Then caudal fin and equal lobes, that is why it's called heterocercal, and here equal lobes, that is why it's called homocercal. An air bladder that is normally absent in the contact as the cartilaginous fishes, that is why they have to swim vigorously to maintain the balance, but here there is no need for this ostick thighs as they have what is called the air bladder. Then development, here they are viviparous, giving birth young ones, there they are oviparous. Then finally the intramittent organ. So I am using the word intramittent organ, the word refers to copulatory organs. Those organs which are used for the transfer of sperm are called intramittent organ. Here they have the claspers in between the pelvic fins for the transfer of sperms from the male into the female as the sexes are separate. Such copulatory structures or claspers or intramittent organs are absent in the case of bony fishes. Now, under the category of superclass species, we have the second one class, actually two ostick thighs. Even if you just compare, we can get the idea what is the type of fish you are observing, either cartilaginous or bony fishes. That is why I gave the comparison first, and little bit easier for you to just follow it. So these are all the true bony fishes because you have ossification occurs, the cartilage being replaced by the bones. That's what they call as bony fishes. But they are found both in freshwater and marine water, I mentioned earlier. And also I mentioned the types of scales, cycloid, ctenoid and ganoid. In most fishes we have cycloid and ctenoid. Cycloid more or less round shape. Ctenoid, we have some teeth-like structure present at the bottom. And the ganoid skulls are somewhat smaller. Then the mouth just a terminal. In the comparison we see. The caudal fin, homocercal, I drew the diagram already, having two equal lobes. So we will get it actually normally just in the recorder. It is being a recorded program later, you know that one, so you will get it back. So I want to continue this one, okay? Just repeat it. So once uploaded. Now, so I mentioned about this caudal fin homocercal. Now coming back to the rest of it. The endoskeleton chippling bone. You have seen that already. And what is the total number of gills? I mentioned earlier in the short, I also showed that one, yes, there are 5 pairs of gills. And here we have 4 pairs of gills. And the 4 pairs of gills are actually not open directly outside. They open into, that is actually the cavity, what is called as a gill chamber. That gill chamber is covered by means of operculum. That is one contrasting character in respect to the shark or any other, that is cartilaginous fishes. So 4 pairs of gills, the number is constant in all bony fishes, and also we have operculum on either side the gill cup. And unlike actually just the shark or any other just cartilaginous fishes, we have the air bladder is present. It's also called as a swim bladder. And the main function is hydrostatic, that is it offers buoyancy for floating effect. That is why the animal is even, it is huge in size, it is floating on the surface of water. This is because of the air bladder. That is why they are somewhat shows lazy movement, unlike the cartilaginous fishes. They are always showing what is called a vigorous movement because they do not have what is called the swim bladder or air bladder. That is why they have to work constantly, they have to swim constantly in order to avoid what is called the sinking. That is why here they can have only slow movement when compared to the cartilaginous fishes. In all cases, I mentioned just in the case of cartilaginous fishes, fertilization is internal, that is why we have the viviparity, but here it is external. Whenever you have the external fertilization process, there is no possibility of what is called the viviparity. We have only the viviparous condition. And there is also normally there is no larval stages. The development is normally direct. Now I want to clarify some of the fishes. So we can have marine bony fishes and also true bony fishes, just normally freshwater as well as marine. And now the marine bony fishes, they are classified into different types. One may be a low-finned fish, under which also we have the lungfishes, the second category. And normally In the past, during the Cambrian period, just actually one fish originated. Even during the Mesozoic period, even before, for example, after the Paleozoic period, we have what is called the Mesozoic era. It is being differentiated into Jurassic, Triassic and Cretaceous period. There is one fish originated during what is called the first period of Mesozoic era. During that period, the dinosaurs were dominant, and what is called the low-finned fishes. Low-finned fishes, and one example, Latimeria. Under the low-finned fishes, one example, Latimeria. So it is a living coelacanth, the family coelacanth. It is considered as a living fossil and normally originated during the Jurassic period, one period during what is called the Mesozoic era. Now, what is the meaning of a living fossil? So the animal which remained unchanged over millions of years. You see that one, it formed nearly just actually 200 or 300 million years back. And now till today it is living, having the same structure what it had when it was originated without any change, remain unchanged. And such a condition is called living fossil. One living fossil in the case of fishes, Latimeria. The name is given for this fish Latimeria after a person, Latimer, who has just identified the presence of this fish later. Then under this category we have just the lungfishes. Under the low-finned fishes, one, this is the Latimeria. The remaining, the second category are the lungfishes. So low-finned fishes, the fins are lobed. That is why they are called low-finned fishes, australopid fishes. And now under this category, one is what is called the coelacanth or Latimeria. Another one just what we call the lungfishes. Now the lungfishes show what we call this one discontinuous distribution. They show discontinuous distribution. So what is the meaning for discontinuous distribution? They are found scattered only in limited areas, not continuous. Now the lungfishes are found only in Australia, South America and also Africa. So here I have given all the three diagrams. The first one, Australian lungfish, that is what is called Neoceratotus. The second one is South American, that is what is called Lepidosiren. The third one, what is called the African lungfish, Protopterus. Here it is given. So these are all the different types of lungfishes found only in Australia, Africa and South America. And this one is also found there only near the Pacific Ocean, the low-finned fish. A peculiar one formed millions of years back and now surviving without any addition, without any modifications. It had the same structure when it was born, now also having the same structure what it had when originated. Now the teleus, true bony fishes, and those fishes which are found in marine. Some examples, Exocetus, the flying fish. See that one, the pectoral fins are modified into wings. So that is why they can have the ability of actually flying. Now the hippocampus, an animal not having a name of fish but a true fish. That is a question also. An animal which is not having a name of fish, for example seahorse, but a true fish. A silverfish, we know that one, an insect having the name of fish but not a true fish. So a seahorse is an example of actually what is called a true fish. You see that one here, the animals are coming out from the brood pouch. The pregnant female, looking like what is called a pregnant female. That is a seahorse. It shows vertical movement. And looking like a horse in face, in appearance, that is why it's called the seahorse, a true fish, but actually. Now these are all some of the teleus fishes, once again true bony fishes, but living in fresh water. For example, Catla, Labia rohita, Serena merigala, all being cultured nowadays. You know that one for getting actually money. So in the case of lungfish also we have lobe. Lungfish also have lobe. Lobe in the fins. That is also nothing but actually lobe fins. You might have seen in the case of the diagram also. The fins are actually lobed somehow. Not as in the case of this one, but somehow here these are also lobed, but having the lungs for respiration. So these are some of the freshwater fishes. And also this is what we call this one, we roll in Tamil, we can see that one, the Ophiucephalus, normally known as a snake-headed fish. It is also a costless one. It can have accessory respiratory organs for respiration. It can live out of water for a long time because of accessory respiratory organs in addition to the gills. Now the last one, some examples for aquarium fishes you have studied. So you have seen also in your aquarium, Chirophyllum, the angelfish, beautiful to look at, and also the fighting fish, what is called the betta. These are all the aquarium fishes. In most of the aquarium fishes, they are all ovoviviparous. Ovoviviparous. That means they are laying the eggs. Already the development is completed inside the egg. As soon as the eggs are released, hatches and releasing what is called egg1. So that is about what we have regarding the fishes. And let's take the next class about the amphibians. Because of more time, I am closing this one. You are most welcome to ask questions. Some of the persons ask questions. It's very interesting also interacting. So you are most welcome to ask the questions at any time relevant to the topic. Thank you. Class is complete.